20 on me, case emergency. Ain't no cap in my rap. Real I know it's the truck. More profit mean extra. Emerald white out full of pressure. That cereal milk smoking right. But that Obama rent some special. Kansas City, I'm a chief. Shout out to K5 on new one. Country thuggin', I was hustling. I always had it on me. Booming like OJ the Juice. Till a nigga told on me. From now on, it's relentless. Ain't no love, we ain't friendly. If she want me on him. No the law, she get the business. No the law, still the motto. Empire.
Hello. Welcome in. This is the Birds of a Feather podcast with your boy Q City. We're going to look back at last week and some of this week's games. We're going to do some ATL around the league. Give me props and then some city talk at the end. So come on with me and enjoy this ride. So my first announcement, this is the Hawks podcast, and I'm going to be moving this podcast to Fridays. Tuesday and Thursday doesn't allow me the time to delve deep into the games like I really want to. And I am committed to giving a great product. And so I want to be able to do the requisite research, able to provide you that product. So I'm moving my Hawks pod to Friday. Falcons pod still going to come out on Tuesday. This is kind of a makeup pod. It goes over the games we weren't able to go over last week because of the holiday, and I'm going to release it on Tuesday, and then starting Friday, that'll be the Hawks pods moving forward. So from the last time I saw you guys, we've had 5 games, and in that stretch we've gone 4-1. We were on a 7-game win streak for a point in time, and the Hawks have really just come back up from the depths that they were in. That 6-game losing streak definitely pushed us down in the standings, had us really contemplating what type of team we were. And getting back on the winning side of things has helped right the ship. First game was versus the Charlotte Hornets. 115-105. Big time players make big time plays in big games. Yeah, except this one. Because Trey didn't have an overly awesome game. 19-9-4. Really, it was a concerted effort from the whole team. Double-digit scoring by Herter, Collins, Capella, Reddish. All had 15-plus points. On the Hornets side, Miles Bridges was a monster this night. 35-10. And really, high-flying, getting to the rack. He is not the type of person who's going to break you down off the dribble like that. But LaMelo being next to him is as the perfect setup man has allowed his game to flourish drastically. Hyper athletic. He's finishing alleys over pretty much everybody. LaMelo was 15, 11, and 9, almost had a triple-double. And Cody Martin had 14 off the bench. Now, the second quarter, we kind of separated from him. We were plus 13 at that point. It really was concerning because in the second half, we allowed a rally toward the fourth. And usually you expect teams to go on runs, but not big runs like that when you're at home. With 35% from 3 and held them to 25% from 3. But they got up 102 shots. They are very, very, very much a run and gun team, chuck and duck, putting shots up. We were able to stifle their offense to the best of our ability. Trey had a terrible game defensively, even when they tried to hide him. But overall, you can't be overly upset with a win. The next game, I was in the building, and it was versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it was an awesome game. State Farm was rocking even on a Monday night. It was closer than it needed to be. It was 113-101, and really it was a third quarter separation because it was only 66-60 at half. My wife, because I went with my 2 daughters, so my wife had ended up texting me, and she was like, "I see your Hawks out there giving people heart attacks," and it's like, yeah, yet again. Because there's no reason we should be this close to this team by halftime. Usually you gain separation pretty much by halftime. You usually don't need a third quarter push to gain separation from those bad teams, but we needed it, but we got it. Trey took Giddey personal this night, like really on some MJ type stuff, and just went at him over and over and over again. 30 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. No one on OKC really did anything. Lou Dort had 15 and 5, and then Giddey had 15, 8 and 7. He's kind of nice. He's kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie. He's a bigger guard, and he's not overly athletic. He gives a lot of Luka vibes. You know what I'm saying? To where, big body gets to the rack and is able to play make. Not really a good defender. Referenced by the fact that you see Trey just eat him alive. We shot 41% from 3, and they couldn't connect from 3. And being there and seeing the game, it wasn't so much that we couldn't connect, that they weren't connecting from 3 because of anything we were doing defensively. It was more so they didn't connect from 3 just because you don't have high level 3-point shooters. And it's not like, of course, they're NBA players, they can make threes. But I'm saying, like, game slippage, game pressure, slight defensive pressure, not able to make the shot. And over again, they just weren't able to do it. Gallo was nice off the bench. He had 10. Reddish had 12. I really don't see a point in harping on the fact that Reddish was having one of his best stretches in his hot and cold streak because of the injury concerns that, we're going to get into later. Next game, we're traveling to the Spurs. Consistency is key. Beating up on bad teams is absolutely necessary if you want to, go into the upper echelon. If you want to be considered one of those top 4-seeded teams, one of the best teams in the East, one of the best teams in the league, you got to consistently beat up on bad teams. Trey went 31, 11, and 7. He continues his tear. Murray had a really good game. He was 22 and 11, and then Lou had 12 off the bench. Gallo and Reddish did their thing, 10 and 12 again. Collins was kind of in a slump early in the week. He wasn't really able to keep his pressure going from some of that losing streak, the high scoring totals, and he dropped to about 15 and 5. He was averaging 25 and 10 for a little bit, but 25 and 10 in losses ain't as good as 15 and 7, 15 and 8 in wins. So, I'd rather you play winning basketball. So we go from San Antonio to Memphis, and Trey minus Ja equals blowout. Ja went down early in the game, and I hate the fact that we missed that point guard matchup because I think it would have been amazing. I think it would have been really nice to see those two guys go at it head to head. Ja's super athletic freak. Trey is quote unquote the more skilled player. But the game ended 132 to 100. It was over pretty quickly. Collins got back on his, higher streak. He was 21, 8 and 2. Capella had a monster game at 23 and 17, and Trey was doing his thing, 31 and 10. With Ja leaving early, there was no offense. There was no offense. They really struggled to get to that 100 points. They didn't get it until very late in the fourth quarter. He's their whole offense. He's their whole game, and they're not able to manufacture anything without him. And so you win these games. These are the games you win. Their superstar goes down. You show no mercy. You win these games. But you feel like you were kind of robbed of a matchup. You know what I'm saying? But hey, 58% from 3 to their 48%, and we've been dominating points in the paint, 64 to 46. You can't be mad at a win. And you needed the wins because the next game was at home versus the Knicks, and you couldn't buy a bucket in the second half. The fourth quarter, we scored 16 points. It was terrible. But the thing about it is, it wasn't like they were stifling us defensively all game because we scored in the first half. They had really open looks. It's just this team got beat up. This team got beat up. Hunter's already out with the wrist. He's supposed to be out for about 2 months. Reddish goes down. Bogey goes down in the same game. We were at one point in this game playing Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot. Like real minutes. And I'm going to get into what Coach Nate said about bringing the dude up from Duke and him being on the wing. But it just goes to show, like, all this depth that we talk about having, like, you're really just an injury or two away. We were able to hold Randall to 8 points. He didn't have a crazy game. Trey Burks could not freaking miss. Him and Fournier, both over 20 points. The part that kind of stuck out to me was each of the starters played at least 38 minutes. Coach Nate played this like a playoff game. And Trey had playoff numbers, 33, 7, and 4. But nobody else stepped up. Now, that could be a function of Bogey and Cam both being out of the lineup. But it was a hard game to watch, especially in that late third quarter, early fourth. Late third quarter, all of fourth, because you couldn't buy a bucket. You couldn't get a shot to fall down, even with the good looks running flow offense. It was hard. It was hard. The takeaways for the week, though, were 4-1. Coach Nate was finding his rotational niche, finding how he wanted to have a good blend of the starters and the bench players until these injuries started to pile up. Bogey's expected to be out for at least 2 weeks, and same with Reddish. They're supposed to be getting x-rays soon. This injury bug is killing us, and it seems to be affecting all of our wing players. Basically, the only starting caliber wing player that we have right now is Kevin Huerter. You know what I'm saying? Solomon Hill's going to get minutes, but, you know, him and Gallo, if you move Gallo to the 3 when necessary, are not what you would call, you know, like star rotational pieces within a high caliber playoff team. You know what I'm saying? You need Cam back, you need Hunter back, and you need Bogey back. You need these guys back in the lineup, helping move the ball, helping the rotation, and really easing some of the offensive pressure on Trey. Also, another thing that I noticed in the Knicks game, they went right at Trey over and over again, and a lot of that, one, is having him on the floor. 2, him being extremely tired from being the only offensive load, and you saw it falter on the offensive end because he's actually trying on defense this year. You know, when they go right at him on defense, and you really don't have anybody, you know, that could switch or hide or anything like that, could switch or kind of hide Trey. So we definitely got to get over this injury bug in the next couple weeks. Trey is carrying us, though. Over the stretch, he's averaged about 30 points and 9 assists. Collins was a little down from his 25 and 10, but he's back up to right around 20.7 rebounds. And if that's where you need him for winning games, I'm perfectly fine with that. Those are perfectly reasonable numbers. Capella's coming into form. Like I said, Bogey's down for right now, but I really, really like Huerter in the starting lineup. And I would not be opposed to moving Bogey to the bench, starting Huerter, putting him next to Hunter, and Collins at the 4, obviously. You still get the floor spacing. You know what I'm saying? You don't get as much shot creation as you would with Bogey. And I'd be interested to see how Bogey runs with Cam on the second unit. I think it would be really interesting. But I love Huerter in the starting lineup. He's providing everything he needs to right next to Trey. So next week, you know, by the time that I sit down and do the podcast, I want to be able to look back and say that we did everything we needed to do this week to get our guys ready. Because part of like sitting in the trainer's room is not having your body physically prepared for the rigors of an NBA season. Now, no one's expecting you to play all 82. Some guys are like, you're going to miss 6 to 10 games. It's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But DeAndre Hunter has lived on the training table. And Cam has had his fair share of injury bugs too. And I consider them extremely talented players. They are awesome. You know what I'm saying? But awesome does you no good if it's never on the floor. So that was our recap of the last about week and a half. 4-1. Extremely grateful for it. You know, sticking with the Thanksgiving theme. Extremely grateful for the 4-1. So we're gonna move forward and look ahead to next week. Okay, so between now and Friday, there's only 2 games that I'm going to need to report on. Indiana on Wednesday and then the 76ers on Friday. So at Indy has absolutely no superstars. There's really nothing of note for them. They're 9-13. The fact that they've won 9 games is just a testament to the team ball they play. I like their rookie, Duarte. You know, he's kind of old. And Malcolm Brogdon he's a 50-40-90 guy, as weird as that sounds. And he was a rookie of the year. We just don't think about him in that light because he spent a couple years in college and then, you know, he was a 2nd round pick. So as soon as his 2-year contract was up with the Bucks, he ended up getting, I think he signed a 2-year option after that and then ended up in Indianapolis. You know what I'm saying? Where, I think Milwaukee ended up choosing Eric Bledsoe over him. You know what I'm saying? Which was a mistake. It was a mistake. Malcolm Brogdon fit that team so much better, and he's a really, really good, high-quality point guard. So, you know, no superstars, but in terms of good players, they got Miles Turner, they got Malcolm Brogdon, and you can't overlook these teams. You can't overlook these games. They're behind us in the standings, but that doesn't mean too much. You got to put the time in and the effort in. Make sure, you know, you come out of here with a win, especially considering we're walking in shorthanded. The next game is versus Philly at home. Big man's back, and we had a blowout the last time we faced them. They're playing 500 ball right now, 10-10. And Joel is on a mission since he came back from COVID. He's averaging 23 and 10. You know, he's balling on the inside. Seth, you know, he's going to space the floor, averaging, I think, around 14 or 15 points. 15 points. And you got Harris, 28 and 4. Their big 3, quote unquote, work together seamlessly. And having Simmons off the floor allows the floor to be spaced. And you see they're playing, well, when Embiid was in the lineup, they are playing some beautiful basketball. So they're a bad matchup for us. They're a hard matchup for us. Capella seems to get into foul trouble. Collins can't do anything with Embiid down low. But that's not saying a lot because not too many people can do anything with Embiid. Trey usually stays on Seth, you know what I'm saying, kind of follows him, runs around with him for a little bit. Usually we would have Hunter on Harris. It's looking like we might have Solomon Hill on Harris. And then Matisse Thybulle is a defensive menace. He's kind of taking over that Ben Simmons role, you know what I'm saying? And you could, obviously, you would have to choose between having one of them on the floor. You could have Matisse on the floor because he doesn't generate offense and he doesn't facilitate the offense. So really, you just park in the dunker spot, get hustle plays, rebounds. You know, if occasionally he wants to slide out to the corner 3 and try to knock those down, he can. But having him on the floor has been extremely beneficial to the team. So I consider that's going to be a super hard game. And I'm looking forward to it. Especially with this new format. I can kind of go a little deeper into the numbers moving forward. So, yeah, those are our 2 games this week. We're looking forward to 2-0, and we'll be back to it on Friday. Now for some ATL around the league. Just little quick notes. Yeah, the Suns are on a 14-game win streak right now, and it's crazy because the Warriors still have the best record in the league. They're going to end up playing Tuesday night. Warriors are at 18-2. COVID is starting to affect the league. Embiid was out. I think I seen something that said LeBron has entered the protocols. We're missing guys like left and right to COVID. It's still very real, still very out there. Being vaccinated allows players to come back sooner, and I think there was a report that was like either 90 or 95% of the league was vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? So we shouldn't miss, like playoff games or really important games. To be honest with you, it's all money based. So if there's a nationally televised game, I don't know if they keep a guy out. But as for right now, COVID is starting to affect the league and affect the availability of some players. Sad note up in Denver. MPJ is out for the season. And if you're aware of him and Trey's relationship, they're, really good friends, came up together and whatnot. And it was always a thought that, they would want to play together at some time. I would love Michael Porter Jr. down here in Atlanta. I don't know what you would trade for him, how exactly he would fit. I figure Collins would be the odd man out in that scenario. But this version of MPJ, he can't stay healthy. This is his third back surgery. Second since he's been in the league. That back is bad, and as promising as he is, I don't think he's going to be what we ever consider a full-time NBA player. And it's looking to go the way of Brandon Roy. Now, it could go the way of Steph. Steph had ankle troubles very early in his career and, was able to sign an extension and bounce back and get past it. MPJ signed his extension, but it was a max extension. But Steph signing that short deal allowed the team to basically get Kevin Durant, like build around him and whatnot. MPJ is kind of hamstrung, his team, pigeonholed them into what could be considered now a bad contract, considering he might be damaged goods at this point. So I really, really hate it for him because he's an extremely talented player. But yeah, it's looking like he's going to be out for the season. And poor Jokic, you know what I'm saying? Like Jamal Murray tore his ACL in like January. So at earliest, he'll be back in January, And then MPJ goes out. Like you're the MVP of the league trying to move on, and you playing with Joes, every average day Joes. Like I can't even think of anybody else on that Nuggets team. So Aaron Gordon's still there, but you facilitate to him alleys. That's pretty much all you're gonna get there. So yeah, it's sad news out of Denver. And then the return of John Wall. We don't know if he's going to there was a report out that he was looking at Miami or what was it, Milwaukee? Both those teams, championship aspirations and whatnot. I get it, not wanting to play for the Wizards. I mean, not wanting to play for the Rockets. They're a terrible team. They're rebuilding, and Jalen Green is the future. He's the future there. So there's really no reason, to have a lead guard on that team when you want most of the playmaking and, responsibilities of the team to go to the younger players. Because you got to see who's actually an NBA player on that team. Having John Wall out there, even in the state he's in, would make somebody look good who's not that good. You know what I'm saying? Or it would just lead to hero ball John out there trying to get his numbers. He can't be moved without a buyout. And the buyout market isn't going to really pick up until around February, right after the All-Star break. So I don't see him moved until then. And at this point, he just, he wants to play. If from Houston's leverage, if I was Houston, I wouldn't necessarily play him just because if he gets injured, you can't buy him out, and then you're fully guaranteed for his contract for this year, and that's like $40 million. And if you buy out, the buyout I think was like 160 or something, but like it's a bargain considering like what's left on that contract. That was the fact that the Wizards got out of that contract was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But hey, they got Russell Westbrook's contract and were able to get out of that in 2 years. So that's executive of the year stuff right there. You can't deny it. You check out the standings. The Nets still at the top spot, 14-6. The Heat, 13-7. Both of those teams are playing great ball right now. KD and Harden really gelling, really clicking, even without Kyrie. And then the Heat are really coming on. Tough bunch, tough group. They're actually 13-8. They lost to the Nuggets last night, but they're holding steady at that 2 spot. The Wizards move up 13-7. The Bucks are up 6 spots. They were 500 the last time we checked in on them. They're up to the 4 seed. Giannis looking to be another MVP, Defensive Player of the Year type season. He is balling, and I think he's falling into that LeBron category where he's great every night, and so like we only focus on the nights he's not super awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like he gets to the point to where we just start expecting it. And so like I think he might fall into that category and not being able to win another MVP because you just accept Giannis to have 28 to 32 points, 7 to 12 rebounds, about 8 to 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 blocks. Like that's a crazy stat line. And we look at it, if Giannis has, like 21 points and 9 rebounds, we're like, God, he was bullshitting this game. He's reaching that upper echelon. The Bulls, they come down just a little bit, but everybody from 4 to 8 is really bunched up. The Bulls are down 2 spots to the 5. Hornets are down a spot to the 6 at 13-8 and 13-9 respectfully. The Knicks stayed the same at that 7 spot, 11 wins, 9 losses. They're a huge defensive marking team. You know what I'm saying? That's where they hang their hat on. Coach Tibbs, defensive mastermind basketball wise. And the Hawks have officially entered the playoffs at the 8 spot. They are 11-10. They went 4 spots up with that 7-game win streak, but it just goes to show, like, you can't dig yourself into a hole that deep. That 6 games, in a row, you can't lose that. The Celtics are right on their tail with the same record. They just got a better Eastern Conference record is the only reason they're in the 8 spot. The Cavs are 10-10, and they were in the playoffs, but like They might be able to do the play-in, and stay at that 10 spot and be able to do the play-in. But Garland's out for the season, and Mobley was hurt for like a couple weeks. Really knocked them down, really hurt them. They end up losing 3 out of 4 and knocking them out of the playoff picture. And the 76ers are at the 11th spot. So like as soon as one of these teams got to go out, because the Sixers are definitely getting in. And so it's got to be the Cavs. It's got to be the Cavs, because the Sixers are getting in, and I don't see them being a play-in team. To be honest, we really got to get to the 6th spot to avoid that play-in game. You don't want to be beholden to, for lack of a better word, a 3-game crapshoot. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're in that 7th spot, you're basically like, you just got to win 1 game. If you're in the 8th spot, you got to win 1 out of 2 games. So you don't really want to leave it to a crapshoot. You want to go ahead, get the 6th spot, be preserved. I was talking to a friend, and he was like, you really want to avoid the Bulls in the first round just because of the matchup. And I get that, but you can't duck or dodge anybody. And I think that having a reasonable understanding of the fact that you caught a bad matchup in the first round doesn't change the fact that you went to the Eastern Conference Championship the year before. And to a lot of people, it'll look like a step back, but like, I kind of look at the Bucks. The Bucks went to the Eastern Conference Championship versus Toronto. They lost. They lost in the second round to Miami the next year. And then they won the title. So, like, you could take a step back before taking a step forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really just depends on what kind of matchup you get. If you get a bad matchup, it doesn't matter what round you're in. It's a bad matchup. And it looks like right now that the Bulls are kind of a bad matchup for us. The Pacers are at 12, the Pistons at 13, and the Magic at 14. These are terrible, terrible teams this year. And then, like, the Pistons, Cade Cunningham, not the Pistons, the Magic, their rookie out of Gonzaga just got hurt. So, like, you don't even want to watch them for that. Like, this is bad basketball, and it's hard to watch. And I don't know, the Magic seem to have a luck with entering the lottery and getting a number one pick and grabbing a big man. So they might be looking for Paolo out of Duke or Chet Holmgren out of Gonzaga again to pair him with Jalen Suggs. They were teammates in Minnesota as kids. So, you know, pair them together in Orlando, and it might lead to some magic because that team is god awful. It is very hard to watch. Even when the Hawks played them, it was hard to watch. And it's not changing when Fultz comes back. The whole team's just young, you know, and that's one of the downsides of going young. You know, you get to grow together and all this and that, but this grown man league, young kids ain't gonna win. They're just not. So as of right now, sitting in the 8th spot, you know, definitely got to look to get up to that 6th spot. I consider us a top 4 seed, but definitely into that 6th spot to avoid the play-in. And now on to my favorite portion, the betting portion. Give me props. I post all my predictions on QCity11 at that's on Twitter and Instagram. You can see my betting predictions. As of right now in basketball, I entered the season 17. I entered this week 17-11. Past week and a half, I went 6-3. So that's 23-14 for the year. That is a 62% clip. Come make this money. You understand me? 62%. That is professional betting numbers right there. For Charlotte, I took the Hawks in the under. That was a 2-0. For OKC, I took the Hawks in the under. That was 2-0. For San Antonio, I took the Hawks in the over. Don't know what possessed me to do that, but that was 1-1. Memphis, I took Memphis in the over, and that was 0-2. But, you know, Ja went out incredibly early. I thought it was a bad matchup with John Trey. But, you know, Ja went out, so that was an 0-2. And then New York Knicks, I took the Hawks in the under, no matter what the number is, unless it's something like ridiculous like 160 or 170. If the Hawks play the Knicks, I'm taking the under. So, you know, I had the Hawks in the under. I went 1-1 right there. So 6-3 for the week. And all I'm saying is if you follow my bets, you just put $10 down, you're in the green. You're in the green $90 right now. And that's without taking into account odds. Just saying. Make some money here, people. Follow me on QCity11 at Instagram, and QCity11 on Twitter is where I put out my Hawks over and under picks for before each game. So, appreciate you guys. Let's make some money. And now on to some city talk. So, one of the big portions that came to me was talking about the podcast. I've already said that I'm moving it to Friday. And one of the big reasons I'm doing that is because I am going to have a gambling show in the works that is going to be somewhere in the middle of the week, either Wednesday or Thursday. It made me think about basketball's place within the gambling market. Now, football is king. It is far and away the thing we bet on, the thing we watch the most. Millions tune into it every single week. And it's really because of the urgency of the games. You know, you have 17 games, then 4 playoff weeks. You got 17 games, 4 playoff weeks. So for a total of 21 games. Even if you count the preseason, that's 24 games. You know what I'm saying? And it's only weekly. basketball has just way more games. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily do the prop bets on basketball anymore. I usually just do a team prediction and an over and under, because just the consistency of the games, the amount of them sitting out there, it makes it very hard to kind of manufacture urgency. You know what I'm saying? Especially within the betting market. I personally love to bet on games. When you look at prop bets, especially with them being illegal in Georgia and harder to obtain without a bookie and giving up a percentage, I think it makes it easier for people to tune out being a basketball fan. You would have to be naive to believe that betting doesn't influence why people love football the way they do. You know what I'm saying? Basketball just doesn't have that draw on it right now. And it's strictly because of the betting laws are the way they are. Different for each state and whatnot. And the crazy part is, I think the 7 states that allow it, only 2 of them have basketball teams. So, yeah. Either way, it was just very interesting to me to figure out betting's place within the basketball landscape. I also feel like basketball has been marred, especially on the college basketball scale, with some betting scandals. And of course, who can forget Tim Donahue? So it's like, it's very hard to say betting in basketball and people have a positive connotation behind it. But with legislation coming forward, at some point, betting is going to be just a traditional part of basketball. And it's something that we all look forward to doing. And I think personally, prop bets kind of give a fantasy aspect to basketball. And I think they're easier to not only regulate, between the public, obviously, not with the players' collusion, but easier to regulate, but more fun to watch and be a part of. Because, like, if you're sitting in the stands and you've got a prop bet on John Collins over 6 rebounds, you are glued to your chair in the fourth quarter when he's got 6 rebounds, and you're like, yo, you need one more to get me $500. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think that prop betting, which eventually is going to open in the stadiums, like, let's not get it confused or twisted. Prop betting will be in the stadiums. It's not going to be mobily. If you travel to other countries, you open your mindset or whatnot, there's soccer betting. Soccer betting happens in the stadium. You know what I'm saying? Even when you bet on horses, you bet on ponies, in the US, it happens at the stadium. So, prop bets are going to literally next to the pretzel stand. And I'm looking forward to those days. The next thing was the beauty that is State Farm Arena. So, like I said earlier, I went down there, I took my kids, and we went to the Thunder game. It's been a while. I've been a Hawks season ticket holder for years now. You know what I'm saying? And COVID had to make some sacrifices, had to make some cuts, and I ended up giving it up, on top of the fact that, hey, we weren't going to be in the stadium. We weren't going to be in the arena. So, hey, it's fine. When I came back, they had tons of new ticket packages, and, they're offering select games and whatnot rather than the full season that they were doing before. And my dad's a season ticket holder as well. So he ended up giving me his tickets to go to the game with the girls. I met a representative down there, talked about, getting tickets back or whatever. But I really just wanted to go enjoy the game. It felt so great to be back in the arena. There's so much to do down there. You can get a hair, they talked about it. Get a haircut. You could have a drink. You could, social. It's a social event. And it's right there in the heart of the city. It's almost like the game is an afterthought. You know what I'm saying? And especially considering the team we were playing. The buzz and the electricity of the place was just, it was rocking. On a Monday night, versus the Thunder, and it was Thanksgiving week. So I know my kids were out of school. Most kids were, so there were a lot of families there. It really felt like somewhere you want it to be. And that's not something I would say about the Hawks, even as little as 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been a season ticket holder since the Dennis year, the year we traded out and got Dennis. That was no. Before then, the Indiana Pacers in the playoffs year. Yeah, I've been a season ticket holder since we lost to LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals. That year was my first year having season tickets for myself. Prior to that, I was being a true millennial and just, taking my dad's season tickets whenever he didn't want them. But the first year I got them for myself was 2015. It was, getting beat by LeBron because I sold both playoff tickets because we were down 2-0. I didn't go to a playoff game. I figured it was pretty much over because the first two games we just got smashed. Like it was terrible. No. I didn't go to game one because I had to work because we were the number one seed. I didn't go to game one because I had to work, and I sold game two because we got smashed in game one, and I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be over. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Did not go to a playoff game, but I usually go to every other game. And COVID not allowing me to go to games, you don't realize it's something you miss that much. I went down there. I was able to really enjoy myself, really enjoy, the family atmosphere. The girls really loved it. My kids have been to games before, but this is the first time, daddy-daughter moment type thing. And it was a great experience. And if you haven't had a chance to go out there, catch a game, man. Catch a game. During the week, if you get down there early enough, you can stand by the tunnel. They usually open the doors an hour and a half early, hour and 15 minutes early. You know what I'm saying? So like if you want to go down there for shoot around or whatnot, if you want to get a haircut, if you want to grab a drink, if you want to just chill, that type of situation, get down there early, make a day of it. Games usually don't start till 7:30. So, that's 6:15. I know from where I'm at, you gotta leave the house like damn near 2 in the afternoon because of traffic. But you get down there early, you really enjoy yourself. Make it a thing. Make it a thing. Because for me personally, seeing people come sit down in the middle of the second quarter because they done missed getting stuck in traffic. If you leave the house at 6 thinking you gonna be able to get to the game by 7:30, like it's probably not gonna happen for you. Traffic gonna kill you. You know what I'm saying? And I used to be that person a lot. Get down there and you end up sitting down in the middle of the second quarter or halftime. So, if you're gonna go. Enjoy the game. Get down there early. Conversate with the players. Me, I'm trying to build this. I'm trying to build this brand. So of course, if there's any opportunity that I could talk to a player, I'm gonna try. So this ain't my first try. This ain't my last try trying to get down there to a game this year. But I encourage everyone to get down there and go, man. It's great being at State Farm. This last one is about big game hunting. And really just the mindset of we need a second star. I really like our core when they're healthy, if they can ever get healthy. Coach Nate said that Jalen Johnson wasn't going to be able to come up from the G League because we've got to sustain a whole bunch more injuries before he can play solid minutes with us. And it's because Coach Nate views this as a high caliber playoff team, and you don't put a rookie on the floor in that manner. And even then, they're supposedly playing him like a 4 in the G League and not as a wing player. So like that means you got to get past Collins and Gallinari, and our 6th pick in the draft when he comes back. It's a tough road for you, kid. You know what I'm saying? Which begs me the question as to why you drafted him, but that's neither here nor there. We've got a young team, and you're going to have to package a lot of these young assets to get another superstar. But who you getting? And that's the question that I tend to ask a lot of people, because this question showed up in my Instagrams. Like, oh, we need we need a second star. And as I conversed back and forth, I was like, who you giving up? Oh, well, I would give up Cam, or I would give up Hunter, or I would give up Bogey. All right, that's all fine and well. I'm cool with all that. Who are you getting? Who you getting? The Nets ain't moving nobody on their team. The Heat don't have a bona fide superstar that they would even look forward to trading. So what, you want to look at the bottom of the East? Maybe get Jaylen Brown? Is Jaylen Brown a significant upgrade from Herter, Hunter, or Reddish? Because you're gonna have to give up some combination, some 2 or 3 out of that to get them. And they're not touching Tatum. You know what I'm saying? The Sixers are below us. They're not trading Embiid, so who are you gonna get from them? The Pacers, no discernible superstar. Maybe Malcolm Brogdon, but you already have a bona fide superstar at point guard, so you move Brogdon to the 2. I don't think Brogdon's a better fit than Herter. Okay, the Magic have absolutely nothing that you want. The Raptors, but maybe Pascal. You can get him. I don't understand the concept of just saying like we need a second star. You want to go to the West. The Timberwolves ain't touching nobody. The Suns ain't moving nobody. The Lakers ain't moving nobody. The Grizzlies ain't moving nobody. The Blazers, what, you gonna get Dame and put him next to Trey? And then you don't even have enough to trade for Dame. You know what I'm saying? That Portland would want. Getting CJ would just be making us Portland East. So I'm literally stuck on the idea of what can you get for the pieces you have that you feel so certified that you need a second star. You feel you need a second star. Who are you going to get? And that's the question I have. I don't think under any circumstances we could move the pieces that we have and get a requisite piece that's actually going to push us toward playoff contention. I even proposed the Ben Simmons trade on this at one point, but even then, you would have to make an extra trade to get rid of Capella just to make Ben fit. And even then, that puts you at what? What's your ceiling? Second round? Maybe? I think the team is presently constructed just needs to grow. They got to play together. They got to get healthy. They got to get out there. But they got to grow together. Hunter is in his Hunter's in his 3rd year. So is Reddish. Those guys got to get a little older because both came out at 19 and 20 respectively. You know what I'm saying? Jalen Johnson, super young, 19 years old. Bogey's a little older. He's like 28, 29. But hell, Trey's only 23 or 24. You know, Herter stayed 2 years in college. But I think he stayed 2 years in college and he ended up 19. It was like 19 when he was drafted, turned 20. So even him, 23? He's drafted the same year as Trey. You know, our team is extremely young. We've got veteran presence on the bench with Gallo and Solomon Hill. But the core of this team is super young, and they've got to grow. You know, the only reason we're not losing is because we have a bona fide superstar in Trey. Usually this team would be losing like we lost the first 2 years with Trey. This team's got to grow, and hopefully one of the pieces we have will maybe not reach superstar level, but reach star level. You got a superstar, you got a star, you go into war and hope for the best. All right. That's it for me tonight, you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for all that you do. Like, follow, rate, review. I'm on Apple. I'm on Spotify. All that good stuff. Follow me at QCity11 on Instagram and Twitter. Appreciate you guys. The next Hawks pod will drop on Friday. It will drop on Friday. And I'll see you guys then.
Like Chapo. Looking like I hit the lotto. I want a hottie like mulatto. I'm on here and she on Moscato. I'm in them good till tomorrow. I'm a robber for the Nero. Yo, little laws, I'ma put you on payroll. You smell that aroma? Design in the air, it's a party in here. Papa Corona, she moving the body, she working them heels. Gotta go get it mentality. Grocery bag full of celery. Only believe half what she telling me. Keep a 20 on me, case emergency. I wake up early every morning. Thank the Lord and get the bag. Hustle hard, get the cash. That first, then I'm showing my ass. Gotta go get it mentality. Grocery bag full of celery. Only believe half what she telling me. Keep a 20 on me, case emergency.
My babies, that's who I grind for. That's who I do it for. Like the Navy, that's who I'm toting that iron for. Keep one in the head like a thought, nigga. Yeah, I fuck with Ty, he a boss, nigga. Foot on their neck, I exhaust, nigga. Niggas cross me, so I cross, nigga. No stripper was lit last night. 500, what it cost, nigga. Shit was really legit last night. Had them hoes at the house, nigga. Instagram, Snapchat, Triller. What they say about Jay, he a go-getter. Used to have them fat sacks in the grove, nigga. Late nights, early morning, my dough, nigga.
You smell that aroma? Design in the air, it's a party in here. Papa Corona, she moving the body, she working them heels. Gotta go get it mentality. Grocery bag full of celery. Only believe half what she telling me. Keep a 20